Alright, I'm going to show you a way to model a compact fluorescent light bulb similar to this, and a couple of interesting things here. First of all, we're going to do the thread of this part here a little bit different than I would often do, and we're going to do this stuff here, which will, be a little bit different as well. Interesting, whatever. Okay, so here we go. I've just brought in an image, and it's not going to be exactly like this. You can use any one that you like, but I just found this one on the internet, and if I can, I'll link to it in case you want to do something similar. And I've just moved it. My 3D cursor is roughly in the bottom, and like I say, it's not going to be exactly the same. You just want to use this as a reference and sort of model against it. Okay, so we're going to create the thread, and the way we're going to do this is we're going to be using the screw modifier. So I'm going to start off by bringing in a plane. And there it is. We're going to go to M1. I'm going to scale it down a bit. I'm going to rotate by 90. So there it is. And press 2 to go into edge selection. Select the top, and I'm going to merge at center. Select the bottom, merge at center as well. Let's hide this for the moment. So this is what we've got. Okay, I'm going to take this and go into edit mode and press 1 for vertex selection. I'm going to scale it down just a little bit, and I'm going to push it off to here and scale it down a little bit. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and subdivide this by 2, just like that. Deselect, select those, and S to scale them in. I'm going to push them out a little bit like that, and that's going to form the profile of what we spin. I'll show you what I'm talking about right now. So in object mode, I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to add the screw modifier. I'm going to turn this back on, and we'll see that we're not that far off. You see this part here where I bent it out, that forms the bump. I'm going to take the screw modifier, I'm going to hold down shift, and I'm going to start pulling it up like this. Go ahead and I'll hide that again, and add, I think, 3, 4. And now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to hold down shift, and I'm going to hold on this and bring it back until it looks like they're just starting to touch. I can see and hear the edges a little bit better, so I'm just going to hold this, and you see that. So I'm going to come up to 5. No, it's too much. To 2. I'll go back maybe to 2.1. It's probably all right, and maybe 2 and 5. Yeah, I'll just do something like that. Let's bring this back and see how far off we are. Okay, now you can come into edit mode, and you can press S to scale, and you can make these smaller if you want. Maybe I'll do that, and then bring these down. Let's go with something like that for now. I'm going to hide the reference image again. Go back into object mode, and I'm going to go ahead and apply that. I'm going to press Control 3 to look from the side, and you can see what we've got here. Go into edit mode and press 2 for edge selection. And what I want to do is I want to continue this. So I'm going to select this edge right here. I'm skipping this one, and I realize my edges don't line up perfectly. I'm going to deal with that in a bit. And then I'm going to press Control, and I'm going to click up there. So I've selected all of this going around, but I've skipped this one here. Press Control 3 to look from the side, and I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to pull up in the Z, and I'm going to pull up so that this piece here is roughly in line with this piece here. Alright, so it's like a roller coaster. You come here and you jump, and you go back onto this part, and it comes up to there. So that's good enough. I'm going to do that again, E to extrude, and I'm going to pull up until this piece is kind of roughly to there. But then I'm going to SZ0, scale that to 0. It doesn't really matter. Okay, now let's do the exact same thing on the bottom. Let's select that edge there, and then hold down Control and select the last one, skipping this one. Control 3 to look from the side, and E to extrude, pull down until this edge lines up with this edge. Pretty close. And then we're going to go SZ0 on the bottom. We don't have to do a second one. I'll pull that up just a little ways. Alright, so we did an extra extrusion up at the top here. Okay, so now we need to join these. I'm going to press 1 for vertex selection. And select this point and this point. I have to make a face, so those can be paired up. This one and this one. Just make sure you don't select the wrong vertex. Those can join up. These ones are already joined. But I have two here that don't have a partner or partners. So I'm going to select those two, right click, subdivide, and choose 2. And now I've got a vertex there. Shift and select that one. I have to make a face. This one, shift, select that one. I have to make a face. Let's start filling this in. Press 2 for edge selection. And I'm going to select this edge, hold down shift, and this edge. I have to make a face. This one, hold down shift, that to make a face. This one and this one, I have to make a face. Now, let's press 1 again. This vertex doesn't have a partner here, so let's select this vertex and this one and subdivide it again to put a new point in there. But this one's way down. They're not anywhere close to each other, so just deselect, select that edge. Up here in snapping, switch this over to vertex, and then pull this up in the X while holding control and hover over this point. So pull, control, hover over, release. So I've moved it up in line with that one. Now select that one, I have to make a face. Go back to edge selection, select this edge and this edge, F. This edge and this edge, F. So now I filled that in. Control 3. What I need to do, however, is these points here are just off where I don't want them. So I'm going to select both of them, M, merge at center. So they'll come down to a point, and we'll have a look at that in a moment. Let's do a similar thing down here. Let's see, these two can join together. But now I have 1, 2, 3 points that don't have a partner. So select this one and this one. Right click, subdivide by 3. And now I can just join those two. Pull this one, get that one and that one. Make sure I got that one, those two. And now select these edges and join them. I can often just press F if I've got the loop tools installed. And now take these 2 points, press M, merge at center. Okay, now that we've done that, we have a bunch of vertices that are overlapping each other and extra. So I'm going to press M and watch this. If I go merge by distance, I didn't get rid of anything, but this dialog box pops up. My merge distance is quite low. While I'm viewing this, I'm just going to start pulling this in and see the way it changed. And I don't go too far. That's probably good enough. I got rid of a bunch of extra points. And I have this. Now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to add subdivision surface. I'm going to go for 2. And those are a little bit soft, but what I really want to do anyhow is I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to scale this into Z, and as I squish it down, okay, those become a little bit more prominent. Let's bring that back and see where we're at. Let's see, 1 for front view. Okay, so I'm a little bit off the diagram. Let's take this and let's scale this into Z a little bit more. I can scale it in the X as well. And maybe what we'll do is we'll move the diagram, reference image, whatever. Let's GX a little bit. Okay, GZ. Something like that. All right. Okay, so let's just continue with this and do something. I'm going to select this bottom edge. That's E and S to pull it in. And let's see. Let's get rid of, I'll hide that. I just want to make something of my own. I'm going to press E, extrude up a little bit. E and S, come out a little bit. And then I'm just going to, let's see, I'll come down, scale in just a little bit. And I'm going to press F to make a face. And then Control B to bevel and pull back to about here, roll my mouse up, 4 or 5 times, make a nice smooth thing that would make a contact. That's a little bit flat, but I think you get the idea. And let's see, I can actually maybe grab this edge S, scale it in a little bit more. Just do that. And up here, all I want to do is select this edge, E and S, pull it in, and I don't really need to do any more because I want to make this part here, or something like this part here. All right, so the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to come up here and let's see. Maybe I'll use a different object, maybe a UV sphere to do this. Okay, let's do that. Let's bring in a UV sphere and make this maybe 24 and 12 or something. I'll bring it up. I'll go into edit mode. And I'm going to chop off B, box length, chop off that part. And I think I'll get rid of that part as well. Where am I? The bottom vertices there. Okay. Something like this. Let's scale it a bit. Maybe I'll bring it down to there. Okay, so I got that. Let's go back to the solid view. Let's extrude this down here to cover E and S to scale it in. I'll come back up here, press 2, grab these edges. I'll pull them up a little bit more. I'm going to press E to extrude and just come up near the top. E and S come in and just F to fill it. So I've got this. Okay. In object mode, let's press Control 2 for 2 subdivisions and shade smooth. Bring an edge loop up near the top. I don't want it too sharp. Let's drop another edge loop right there and Control B to bevel and pull, but roll your mouse back to 0. So we have a little space. E and Alt S and pull to pull that in. And then drop an edge loop here and pull it. And there. Just not too tight. Yeah, just like that. And down here, let's put an edge loop here like that. And just to make it fit a little bit better, let's look from the front and we'll hide that. I'll just get S to scale, just a little bit bigger. Okay, so what do we got here? Maybe just make that a little bit smaller and pull it up. Okay. I'm gonna look from the bottom and see. I think I've warped this, so I'm gonna scale this in the Y. I guess I just scaled it a little bit oddly, so I'm just going to adjust that. All right. So there's that part. Okay. So now we're going to do the top part. What I'll do is I'm going to select this face. I'm going to use this face. Shift D to duplicate it. P to break it out. Take that. Scale it down. I'll go ahead and I'll look from the front. I'll turn this back on. G, I'll move this over. So I get the approximate size of that. I'm going to pull this up to about there. The diagram's not straight, so E to extrude. I'm going to pull that down. I don't need the subdivision right now, so I'm going to turn that off. All right. I'm going to focus just on that and have a look at this. I don't need the bottom right there, faces. And I think I'm going to delete that and take this whole thing, E and Alt S, and I'm going to push just to give it some thickness like this. And then I'll take an edge selection, these two edges, and Control B, pull, and I'll do one. And I will put a subdivision surface on this. Maybe just one actually. Maybe that's enough. And I can delete these bottom faces by going into 3 face selection and selecting them and deleting those. And let's bring this back and see how this is going. Okay, that fits in there. Yeah, I might need to change the diameter of that. My 3D cursor is still in the middle, so I can, with that selected, set the origin to the 3D cursor and go ahead and I can mirror this. And I have the other one there. And now I'm going to create the next part. Okay, so the next part will be done like this. I'm going to use the spin tool again, but this time I'm going to go Shift A, curve, circle, go to edit mode, scale it down, G to grab, I'm going to pull it up here, that's the scale, and I'm going to rotate Y 90, I'll scale a little bit more, and let's start with that and see what we need to do. Go back into object mode, so there's my little circle. It's a curve, so I'm going to choose screw. That's not quite what we want yet. I'm in the Z axis. I'm going to come in, rotate the Z 90, and now we see a donut-like shape. That's to scale a bit. Look from the front, and I can just move it. And as I move it, as I bring it closer or farther away from the Z axis, the blue axis there, it changes the diameter of this. I am going to go ahead and turn that back on to get an idea. I'm going to bring it up and scale it a bit. G and move it over. So it's kind of matching. It's not going to match perfectly on this. Okay, with that done, I'm going to start adjusting the screw. I'm going to start pulling this until it sort of matches the diagram. I can move this down, in and out, S to scale. And I want only, I think, probably 2 iterations of this. Now this is going to take a bit of trial and error, so watch this. I'm going to hide this, come back here. I want to scale it a bit bigger. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just duplicate it, Shift D, rotate Z 180. And I want to make sure that they fit. And there's a little bit of a space in there. Jeez, what did I do? And I mean, you know, you can fiddle with this all day, but that looks okay to me. A little bit of a space. These things roughly line up over here, and we have the ends right there, and that's okay. And so I'm going to go ahead and, let's see. Go ahead and convert these into meshes and apply that. See, if I try just to apply, I get an error. So in the curve dialog box here, the resolution, I'm going to switch that to 3 because when I convert it to a mesh, I don't want it to be too dense. So I've done that one. Take this one, 3. I could have done that before I copied, but it doesn't matter. And I'm going to go ahead and right click, convert to mesh, and we can look at that. It's not too dense. Convert to mesh. So far so good. From here it's just a little bit of a pain. We're just going to have to make these meet. So what I like to do is I like to come in here. I like to look from the top and say I'm going to have to make this come around and join this one. So I like to 3 in face selection, delete those faces. I just deleted sort of one segment of it. And then in edge selection, select that, look from the top, and I'm going to press E and G, and I'm going to pull out a little ways and start rotating. E and G and pull out a little ways, start rotating. And if I get that, I can scale it a bit. And I come back here, and I just move things around. I'm going to be adding a subdivision surface in a minute, and we'll be basically just adjusting. I'm going to leave that one for the moment. I'm going to come over here and look at this one. And I think I will delete those faces. Select the outer edges, holding Shift and Alt, E and G, and rotate a bit. E and G, and whoops, rotate a little bit. And then I'm going to grab that edge and I'm going to rotate and pull it around. I'll do another one, E and G, and I didn't do that yet. E and G, and rotate, pull it out, maybe scale it a little bit. Shift Alt to click there, and G. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab both of them and Control J to join them. And let's go ahead and join these up and then see what we need to do. Select that edge, Shift and Alt to click that edge, Control E, bridge edge loops, and now it's just a question of manipulating things around so it looks nicer, maybe rotating, stuff like that. You can also press GG to edge slide and it'll just move along its edges. Let's maybe grab this one and pull it in. Let's see what it looks like with Control 2. Not too bad. Maybe I'll shift click there, pull it in just a little bit. Alright. Sometimes you'll see that they look a little bit raised up, so I can grab maybe those, pull it up a little bit. Oh, it might look a little bit better. So you just take all the time you want to get it so that the curve looks decent. That's all right. You get my point anyhow. Okay. You might need to take this and scale it a bit. All right. Okay, we're going to do a similar thing in the bottom, but I'm just going to take this and try to, extrude and rotate until it joins down here. So I'm going to take that, and now you just find any angle that works. Just G to grab, E, G, rotate, like that. I might scale it a bit, E and G, pull down towards where I think I'm going. Come over here, say, oh, that's not on, so I'm gonna look sort of from the front, rotate again, like this, E and G. I'll pull it in, maybe pull it back, and then I'll work on this one, scale it up. You can try looking from various sides, and then take this one, maybe rotate it, and move it, and yeah. That one's no good. Alright, not bad. There's a little bit of manipulation is all it takes. And if you can't see, you go on the wireframe, grab that bottom one, come back. Just look at it at different angles until you like how it joins. And if we keep that diameter, then maybe I will just scale these up a bit. Or I might make it a bit smaller. Okay, let's do work on this one now. Let's see. Grab it all, pull it in. And there we go. I just kind of want to swell these up a little bit. Okay. Let's make sure, yeah, everything's facing the right orientation. All right, so there is our model, and I think what I'll do is I'll leave it at that, and we'll come back in part 2, and we'll do very simple textures. Put a metal on here, sort of a plastic white on here, and I'll show you a cool way to get a nice glow on the filament.